Well, the reason why is because we're only looking at a piece of the puzzle. By only focusing on leader behaviors, we're missing the greater context for leadership. And so in the late 60s, early 70s, researchers were like, well, maybe it's not just about the leader. Maybe it's about the leadership situation as well. And from this, we have what's called contingency theory. Contingency theory states that there is no one best leadership style, that the most effective leadership style depends on the situation. And according to contingency theory, there are three aspects of the situation that are relevant to leadership. We have authority, which is how much power you have over your followers. We have relations, which is how well you get along with your followers. And we have structure, which is how clear of an outcome are you trying to achieve, and how clear are the directions or instructions for achieving that outcome. So for authority, we can think of teachers have low authority, right? So they can. My girlfriend's a second grade teacher, and if a student's acting up, she's like, "Hey, stop that!" And if they're like, "No," then she's like, "Go stand in the corner." And if they're like, "No," then there's really not much she can do. Principal's got bigger things to worry about. She's not going to call the parents for something like that. So, what can she do with a disobedient child? There's really a limited range of options. On the opposite end of the spectrum, we have the military, where leaders, supervisors in the military have a ton of authority over their followers, right? Where you can literally be thrown in jail or discharged or even executed for not obeying the command of your commanding officer. So that would be a ton of authority. You have to do what your supervisor says in the military. Relations is how well you get along with your followers. I think of the police have low leader member relations. So, like, most of us, I think, theoretically like the police and their contribution to our community. However, we don't love the police when we get pulled over and get a ticket. We're not like, oh, thank you, officer, for facilitating effective traffic flow. We're like, oh man, and we kind of hold it against them, right? Doing their jobs. So we often don't. Not everyone is enamored with the police. On the opposite end of that spectrum, we have firefighters. Pretty much everyone loves firefighters, right? They save kittens from trees and babies from burning buildings. How could you not love firefighters? So most people get along well with firefighters. They have a lot of like pancake breakfast and fundraisers and stuff, and people are always happy to contribute to that because everyone loves firefighters so much. Lastly is task structure. A highly structured task is a task where you have a clear outcome that you're trying to achieve, and there are clear steps to achieve that. I think of changing a tire as a highly structured task. It's just like a list of like all these things that you need to do, and it's very clear what you're trying to accomplish. Baking a cake is a very structured task. With cooking, you can kind of do whatever you want and throw in your own style and taste, and it can come out well. Baking is like chemistry. You have to follow the recipe exactly if you want to get the outcome you want. Low structured tasks would be anything that's creative. So if I said come up with a compelling ad campaign, or make a beautiful website or a beautiful brochure, what beautiful means, what compelling means is different to different people. So that would be low task structure. The best situation for leaders is when they have high authority, high relations, they get along well with their members, and high task structure. That is the best situation for leaders. And according to contingency theory, in that situation, you should use directive leadership. Your followers already like you. You have a lot of power over them. The task is structured. Just tell people what to do and let them do it. The worst situation for leaders is when authority is low, relations are low, and structure is low. And contingency theory again says in that case, use directive leadership style. That if you don't have a lot of power, if you don't know what you're trying to accomplish, and people don't like you, just tell them what to do. Try to be as directive as possible to get the work accomplished. In all other situations, according to contingency theory, you should use participative leadership. So best situation, use directive. Worst situation, use directive. All other situations, use participative. An important aspect of this is that, according to contingency theory, you cannot change your leadership style. That leaders have a certain style and they are stuck with that for life. So the way you deal with this is by choosing the right leader for the situation, or shaping the situation to suit the style of the leader. But leaders themselves cannot be adaptive with the styles that they use. just like behavioral theories of leadership, there's mixed support for contingency theories. Sometimes predictions hold up, sometimes they don't. Hopefully, the reason is obvious by now. It's because, again, we're only looking at pieces of the leadership puzzle, and we're missing a big piece of the puzzle, which is